I'm Don Mooers, and welcome to Montgomery Week in Review. Montgomery County has a program to encourage our businesses to interact with businesses around the world. We have Sally Sternbach here. She's with the Montgomery County Department of Economic Development. She's going to explain, and she's one of the leaders of this department, in fact, Acting Director. She's going to explain about how this works to make sure that Montgomery County is together with the world around us. March is Nutrition Month all around the U.S. And here to talk to us about one of the great programs of nutrition in our county, the Women, Infants, and Children program, a part of CCI Inc., Community Clinic Inc., is Laura Sullivan. She's here with us. She's going to tell us all about what WIC and CCI are doing to help explain about the nutritional needs of mothers and children. Madison House is a national organization based here in Montgomery County that was founded to help families, individuals with autism across the spectrum. Here with us is JaLynn Prince, the founder of Madison House. She's going to tell us about how Madison House is working to achieve its many goals. Excuse me. One of the new programs of Madison House is to help help doctors understand how they can expand and extend their services to those individuals with autism. Faith Frankel works in outreach for Madison House with these doctors. She's going to explain what she does and how she's working to help ensure that those that provide medical attention are responding to the challenges of individuals with autism. Sally, I apologize, I've got something in my throat, but I think it's largely because I am so in awe of having my opportunity to be in real presence.
Well,
Sally, you've been a great leader in this community for so long. You're helping to lead the Montgomery County Department of Economic Development, doing great things, and a key part of the Montgomery County Economic Development Department is working to see how can Montgomery County be engaged in our businesses. We're sitting on the world, and you're leading that effort. Tell us about what's going on.
well, there are a lot of tactics that we use, but the idea behind it is that the only market is not just the U.S. market. It's a great market, but we're a small part of the entire universe, and we want our businesses to take their business overseas as much as possible, and also overseas is often a very good source of investment and investor dollars for our companies here.
So you're looking at sales of goods and services going overseas, investment money to be invested in the United States coming into Montgomery County. What a great.
So one of the ways we do that is with these foreign missions, which, you know, when somebody hears that you're going to India for the county to develop business, they sort of smile. You can see the eyes roll, and they say, a junket. So I'd sort of like to dispel that a little bit. We went as part of the county executive-led mission to India, visited 4 cities. We were there for 10 days, and I had 90 meetings. We took 10 businesses with us, local businesses, and some of them were looking to sign business there. Some were looking for investors there. Some were looking actually for a mechanism to further their business development. So they were looking, for example, to do clinical trials. And we worked all of those in those 10 days, and it was phenomenal.
So what are the results? I mean, I think one of the things when you look at junkets, I mean, it's Congress that gives these overseas trips a bad name. But when you come back, results. What are we going to see as a result of this?
Let me first say that economic development is a marathon, not a sprint.
Sure.
So we're at it for a long time. But I'm actually pleased to say that we're about to sign a contract with a major company there for Montgomery College to do several years of training for their people that they're hiring here in Montgomery County. So we visited an Indian firm there that has a division here, and made the introductions. Montgomery College was part of our mission trip.
Good.
And as a result, they're about to sign an agreement to do extensive training for the new hires of this company. So
Is
that's
there
just an example.
anything like a sister city or anything of that
Well,
nature?
we did. That was actually what instigated the trip to India, was a sister city relationship with Hyderabad. And so that's where we started, and then we visited Raipur, Delhi, and Bangalore.
Sally, how do you choose what businesses go, or do they approach you? How does the whole
We
process
put
work?
out a lot of advertising. We did about 4 months of informational sessions on what the Indian market is like and what the opportunities were. We probably had around 100 business people at those series of sessions. There are funds available to help offset the cost of businesses going overseas. It's called Export MD. And so most of the companies that accompanied us took advantage of that, which I mean, it really does cut their costs in half. But they're self-selected. I mean, we go after specific target segments, so we knew we were visiting high technology areas.
But you want businesses that are already interested. They want
yes.
them motivated, because this is
Oh, yeah.
really only a spark, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it is, and it's just a huge benefit to a company if they can diversify their sources of revenue.
Sure.
And that's what we're trying to do.
What are some other types of businesses that have gone?
Well, we had an engineering company with us that does parts for machines, and they were there to sell those. We had another company that is developing a drug, and they, as I mentioned earlier, they were there for
Right.
a clinical trial site. We had another company that is developing a different product that was looking for investors. So they had discussions with
We got a very
investment
short
sources.
time left in this
Sorry.
segment. No, you're doing great. But what's the sell? I mean, living in Montgomery County, a lot of times people don't understand what makes us such an attractive place. Sell Montgomery County. You've got 20 seconds. Sell Montgomery County like you would to somebody from overseas.
Okay, high quality of life here, incredible educational system, a very diverse but well-educated population, amenities that just don't stop, and a business climate that is incredibly supportive.
And a leader in the Montgomery County Department of Economic Development who is
Free.
without comparison.
Yeah, thank you, Don.
Thank you, Sally.
My pleasure.
Laura Sullivan, welcome. I think it's your first time on our show.
Yes.
It's great to have you. We're familiar with CCI, Community Clinic Inc. We've had the director, the past president. We've had lots of folks from CCI. Maybe what we can do is tell us a little bit about CCI, what it does with the Women, Infant, Children program, WIC, and what you do with WIC. Maybe we could start off with that.
So WIC is a nutrition education program. So we provide nutrition education and then supplemental nutritious foods to pregnant women, infants, and then children under the age of 5. We are federally funded by the USDA. So a lot of times when people hear about WIC, the thing that they mainly see is, oh yeah, you know, I was shopping at my local grocery store and I see those little WIC approved signs underneath the food. So a lot of times they think WIC gives out food. But the thing is we do so much more than just give food to families. The primary thing that we are doing is we are educating these families that are coming in. We're educating sometimes new moms or their caregivers, and then these infants and breastfeeding support.
Because the objective, isn't it, to have healthy, nutritious children and healthy moms? Isn't that really what the objective of WIC is?
Exactly. So ideally we like to see moms while they're, prenatally,
Right.
all the way till the child's 5 years old.
Now, can anybody participate? If is this for the wealthy? Is this for who do you direct it towards?
So it is income based. It's for lower income families, and then our program specifically, they need to be either in Montgomery or Prince George's County. You do not need to be a citizen or a resident of the United States in order to participate either.
This is so important because there has been such a heritage from the United States in working with nutrition. I recall Esther Peterson, that was from this area, who started the labeling that happens to be on all the products with the intent of working with low-income mothers so they could feed their children. Is this kind of a development beyond that, or more clarification?
Now, Laura, before you begin this response, we have a phone number that should be appearing on the screen right now.
Yes.
I think is that how folks can contact the WIC program if they want more information?
Exactly. If they want more information or if they want an appointment, they could call that number.
Okay, perfect. So, sorry to interrupt.
So with the food label, it kind of works in conjunction with it. We do nutrition education. So one of the classes that we do actually teach is how to read food labels. So we're helping mom with basic nutrition education, and it varies from reading nutrition labels, shopping in the stores, shopping on a budget, which is a big thing too, and we use My Plate Guide to talk about different nutrition topics.
Are there any
as well.
apps you use?
Currently, no, but it is in development. We are going to be going to eWIC soon, where instead of using the paper checks, we're going to be using a card. So that'll be a big development as well.
As a physician, I worry about childhood obesity. What are some of the things you see, some of the room you have to educate parents where you think maybe you just need to fill in that information gap, things that parents just don't get to do for their kids that you're teaching them?
Right. So with lower income families, we do tend to see a lot of children being overweight. So we do cater a lot towards portion sizes. What is a correct portion sizes? Because people don't know. Sometimes they think, oh, I'm an adult, this is what my child should be eating as well. So when they're having one-on-one counseling sessions with our nutrition counselors, because they're coming in to see our nutrition counselors every 6 months, when they're having these one-on-one sessions, we're using food models, we're using, the portion sizes to show them specifically, this is what a 2-year-old should be eating, this is what a 3-year-old should be eating as well.
So you come in, what biggest challenge you face? And you've been at this now for some time.
Yes.
What do you just sort of scratch your head and say?
Whole milk. Everybody just wants whole milk. And we're a nutrition program, so we do the low-fat milk, but I don't know why. Everybody just always wants that
What
whole
difference
milk.
though, going 2% or 1% or no fat compared to whole milk in terms of the obesity issue, isn't it? It's just even that little bit, you get kids who are
Right.
have a chance to.
Yeah, so doing the low-fat milk is very important because children are drinking a lot of milk, and then the whole milk has so much more fat in it. So.
Right. What makes you wake up every morning and say, I'm doing some pretty neat things? What's the one thing that you get the most enjoyment out of in your work?
Seeing how grateful people are coming into the office. Working there for 2 years, I've seen babies being born and then up to their 2nd birthday, and it really is just nice to see how grateful moms are and telling us what a big help this is. And we've had some nutritionists working there for 10, 15 years, and they know these families.
How do you do your outreach, Laura? How do you find the women and the families that you want to reach?
Honestly, I go everywhere. Churches, health fairs, food banks, SEU offices, so they're everywhere.
Is there thought right in the hospital when the baby's born to just hand something to the parents right then?
Yes, we actually have our breastfeeding peer counselors in 3 hospitals, in Holy Cross, Shady Grove, and Washington Adventist. So they are visiting moms who just had their babies who are WIC eligible.
It's a great way to end. As we know, breastfed children, their IQs are 10 points higher. Or
Yes,
test
they
scores or
are.
whatever. No, just come out the report. I saw it on CBS News. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
Very, very helpful.
Thank you.
We'll be right back after these messages. And we're back. JaLynn, welcome back.
Thank you.
Listen, it is so great. Every time we have you on, we get great feedback,
Thank you.
Madison House interest, but still not enough people know as much as they need to about Madison House. So maybe if you could tell us more about it.
Good.
Even though for me, it's, I feel like I should
You
be
know
there.
all
but-
about it.
Yes.
Well, Madison House Autism Foundation was put together because we have a son who is on the autism spectrum. And my husband and I did some market research and found out that adults on the autism spectrum were not being served adequately. So we stepped forward over 8 years ago in putting together a foundation, and we wanted to do it nationally, and it's located here in Montgomery County. And we're working with all sorts of issues that individually are very difficult to deal with. And so we're trying to bring people together, organizations, schools, universities, parents, to solve some of the problems that lie ahead. The population of being 21
Right.
and over on the autism spectrum, very often this is an invisible population because people have the feeling that, wonderful, let's have treatment for the little kids, and then you don't hear a whole lot. People graduate, and I think a lot of people assume that autism is taken care of by
We have
them.
a similar issue with developmentally disabled individuals.
Yes.
Same
Same
thing.
thing.
That you're off after that 21, and so tell us about some of the things that you're doing and successes you're finding.
We're working with trying to increase definitions for accommodations for housing. So there's a multiplicity of options out there because we don't have enough housing. And one of the big questions is what's going to happen to my adult child when I'm no longer around?
Right.
And then there are individuals wondering what's going to happen to them because they may not have family support around, and we're trying to help solve those problems. We're advocating on a national level when there can be appropriate legislation. We work behind the scenes with the ABLE Act in making certain that some things
Okay.
we're moving forward with that. We're working with connecting universities, so where it's appropriate for those on the spectrum to attend universities, that they could do so.
Well, think about universities and all that stuff. Let's think about that phone number. If people want to learn more.
If they
need to
want to
call.
learn more, I would suggest them going onto our website, which
Okay.
is madisonhouseautism.org.
Okay.
And that has a lot more information right there.
Perfect.
So, question about the housing. Is
Yes.
I'm assuming it's not everybody on the autism spectrum. You're talking about
No.
the special needs of those who are on the more severely impacted end of it?
It's a very, very big umbrella
Yeah, that's
that
what-
embraces autism.
Right.
And a lot of individuals will be very independent and living on their own. And it includes Asperger's as part of this spectrum. The thing is, even those with Asperger's are facing unemployment. There's about a 15 to 20% employment rate, not unemployment, but an
Wow.
employment rate. And so the
Just in Asperger's or across the
across
autism
the
spectrum?
spectrum. And heavily into the Asperger's area as well. So that means that housing dollars are limited because they don't have the type of income, and they may not always qualify for Social Security and other types of things too. So there's a number of issues
That you're working
covering
with,
the
yeah.
whole broad range. And there's some individuals who are very high support needs, and then there are very independent individuals, and then a lot in between. So, very good observation.
What successes that you're seeing? I mean, what's something right now? I mean, we talked a little bit as you're going through the different programs. What are you most proud of at this moment?
The thing that I'm happiest about is that there's a national conversation starting about adults on the spectrum. We were one of the only autism organizations working with the issues of adults when we started. Now there are more and more organizations. There aren't that many on the national basis, but they're working in their own communities.
So you're able to a network around, expand that network.
And we want to kind of connect the dots. So if there's something good happening in Indiana, we can connect it with
Lessons
Baltimore.
learned.
So, JaLynn, it sounds mostly as if you're affecting policy. Are you actually also a place where folks can live? Madison House sounds like
It
it's
sounds
a
Madison
shelter.
House. We do
About
have
15 seconds.
the housing component to it, and we will be making an announcement a little bit later this year
Absolutely.
on some issues. But one of our major initiatives happens to be with the lady sitting next
And
to
we'll
me.
go to her next. And so I'm hoping you're going to have that major announcement right here on Montgomery Week in Review.
You've got my word on it.
Yeah, Carla Satensky, our producer, will be very happy. She likes when news is made here. JaLynn, thank you so much.
Thank you for hosting.
And a great
things.
segue then come in, and you've got that. It's Faith Frankel.
Yes.
Welcome. Your first time on the show.
Yes, thank you.
So tell us what you're doing in with Madison House and to help the objectives, help further
Absolutely.
the objectives.
So one of our medical initiatives that I'm very proud and excited to be a part of is teaching physicians how to give the care they've been used to giving, whether it's for 5 years or 50 years as a physician, to patients on the spectrum. Because you can't take the approach you're used to and have it work
Well,
most of the time.
Let's talk about some of those things. What's different about treating an individual with autism?
First of all, and especially with adults on the spectrum, some of the behaviors that you would see in a pediatric patient, tantruming, not wanting to wait in a waiting room, not wanting to be touched or examined, haven't extinguished. So you could have a 25-year-old who doesn't want your stethoscope on their chest and might start screaming and flailing and hitting you.
Okay.
You also have the challenge of communication. Autism brings with it challenges with socialization, communication, and repetitive behavior. So many times we're used to joking around with you to put you at ease. That might fly right over the head of someone on the spectrum, and they might not want to hear all of our talking. They might just want to hear some very simple yes/no questions rather than elaborate explanations.
So doctors have been receptive to this?
Very receptive. One of the things I'm extremely excited about and was proud to do was return to my alma mater where I trained at Georgetown and actually give this lecture to all the physicians in the audience who trained me. And many came up afterwards and said to me, I wish I had that lecture a long, long time ago in medical school, which is one of the things we are trying to advance. We're not being taught in medical school how to do this. There is no formal instruction. It's something we're learning as we go. And that's not something you want your doctor to do. Learn something as they go and do it to you.
Do you see a number of doctors who get it and understand how to address the special needs of those with autism, and so they're now becoming the go-to doctors?
Yes, once word gets out that you know how to put your stethoscope on a child or talk to them or maybe offer them the first morning appointment so that they don't have to wait in the waiting room, the floodgates come in, right? Everybody knows. They know how to talk to me. They know how to examine my child, or just me as an adult. They know that it might take me a while to answer your questions, and I might want to rock back and forth a little before I answer that. And yes, as soon as that word gets out there, they're going to come to you.
And we're finding something too, that very often autistic adults are remaining with their pediatricians up and into their 40s. Now, when it comes to gallbladder and different types of things, most pediatricians are not prepared to handle that type
Most
of thing.
doctors can't do that, but surgeons. So what is the pediatrician then carries?
So what we're trying to do, and we don't want to let them go, right? But we're sort of torn between, I know I can examine you, but I really don't know about hypertension and diabetes and things like this in an adult. So we know we need to let them go at some point. And that's part of the initiative, is that we want to get out there and educate our internal medicine colleagues on what's coming their way. I call it the medical autism tsunami of adults that are going to be coming into their doors, and they might recognize that this patient's having some anxiety or is a little quirky, but they really aren't going to get how to care for them. So we want to do this on many levels. Med schools, we give grand rounds like I did at Georgetown. I've gone to Suburban Hospital and giving lectures to the operating room staff.
Our
and
video
just
that will be
the
on
video
our,
we've just made
on our
to
website.
get out there. So we're sort of trying to blow it out in all venues as fast as we can. And the doctors are aching for it. They really, really want it. They're very receptive.
That sounds pretty exciting.
And it will be available on our website for parents and for physicians, because it's often helpful for parents to know how to go to a physician's appointment with their child, adult
And what
or
to ask
otherwise.
for.
That's a huge part of our initiative, is that when I give this lecture, I've often given it with doctors and parents in the same room, and I will tell the parents things they can do. First and foremost, tell us how to examine your child. Tell us how to talk to your child. If you are an adult on the spectrum, tell us how you want to be examined. We want to unleash that communication because you need to help us.
What a difference, though, in the whole mindset of doctors. Because
Huge.
very few doctors believe that patients have much to say about that.
Well,
and the
it's-
traditional bringing up, I mean, they have this-
absolutely. And that's
you know.
something that we talk about is that there's this hesitancy sometimes with patients because we're the expert in the room, right? But I've often said to physicians, you have an expert in the room to help you out. Physicians it's not hard to turn them around to this thinking at all, because when we're uncomfortable and we don't know how to do something, we help each other. That's what we're used to doing. And they're very, very receptive to say, autism's coming, what do I do?
We've got a little bit over 30 seconds left. Give me a breakthrough moment for you in this work.
Breakthrough moment for me as far as my learning curve when this happened. I was examining a child that I did not know was on the spectrum. Parents didn't know the child was on the spectrum, and this child was extremely intelligent. So I was engaging the child that way. And when I took my stethoscope out, I watched my entire visit go down the tubes. I could not get one heart sound from that child, and it was an aha moment that just that brief adjustment I could have made a difference.
I want to thank you. You've given us a lot of aha moments today as well. All of you have. This is a great aha show. As a matter of fact. And I want to thank you for being here with me today. And I want to thank all of you in the viewing audience for being here with us. for this week's edition of Montgomery Week in Review. I'm Don Mooers, inviting you to join us next week at this very same time.